It's Wednesday, it's day 80, it's the midweek check-in. Welcome back to my big fat vlog. Hello guys, how are you doing? Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. So, those of you that have been watching the episodes leading up to this will know that I've got myself a new turbo trainer. And a turbo trainer is basically a gadget that turns your bike into an exercise bike. Now, the old one that I had, if you've ridden an old exercise bike, you kind of know what the deal is. You know, you get on there and you pedal and you can turn up how hard it is and turn down how hard it is. And that just sort of does that with a bit of a brake on the wheel. And that's what my old one did. This new one is a whole different idea. It's got a really big kind of flywheel in it. So when you're just pedaling, it really genuinely does feel like you're on the road. You've got rolling resistance. It's very, very clever. But it's also got a big old electromagnet in there. And it Bluetooths to your iPad to a bit of software. And it's like playing Grand Theft Auto while you're riding your bike. So I'm pedaling, my little dude on the screen's pedaling, you know. And when it figures out that I need to drink something, he takes a drink and I'm like, I best be taking a drink now. And it's really interactive. So that sounds geeky, but it's very cool. And the first thing that you do with this whole setup, or the first thing that I did anyway, on Monday, I did a calibration ride to make sure that the bike on the trainer was calibrated. So, you know, it knows that what the rolling resistance is when you stop pedaling. It knows how long it's going to take to sort of calm down and what have you. And that's all calibrated and groovy. And then the next thing that you do is called a ramp test. And the ramp test calibrates me. So it puts me through my paces and tells the software at what point my power is going to crap out. It's called a functional threshold power test, or an FTP test. So I did this calibration ride on Monday. I didn't do much else on Monday apart from I did a squat workout. Tuesday I did a bench workout and another training ride. And Wednesday, today, I did my deadlifts and another training ride. And I'd mentioned previously that I was expecting there to be a little bit of a jump. I was expecting the new turbo trainer to be a bit harder. It's brutal. The workouts are brutal. I am falling off the bike at the end of them. I can do them and they are doable, but God, I'm tired. And I mean like really tired, like skiing tired, you know what I mean? Like properly battered. And so I just wanted to make that point, because if anyone's thinking about challenging themselves a little bit more and getting one of these trainers, I can heartily recommend it. Absolutely stunning bit of kit. It's called a Wahoo Kicker Core. It's not the cheapest one that they do. It's kind of like the second to the cheapest one. Still a good few £100, but I got a decent 0% deal on it. And I figured, you know what? I've done 10 weeks on my other one. I think I've kind of proved I'm going to stick at this, so I'll get myself a decent unit. And it's cool. A couple of my students have got them, can't sing their praises highly enough, and now I totally agree. I will need a fan because I'm just dripping sweat when I'm riding. It's just ridiculous. So there's been a couple of eye-openers for me. That's been one of them. Also, if you use apps on your phone and stuff, you might be familiar with these, but I use a couple of other apps. I use an app called Strava, which when I go out for a ride in the real world, you kind of just set that going at the beginning of your ride and it maps your ride out for you and tells you your stats and your calories and all that kind of stuff. And I use an app called MyFitnessPal for tracking calories. And what Zwift does, which is the app for the turbo trainer that's on the iPad, which is very clever, is it talks to Strava, which in turn talks to MyFitnessPal. So when I finish my ride on Zwift, I can hit the upload button. That puts it on my Strava, and then Strava puts it on my MyFitnessPal. Job done. So it means I can look at MyFitnessPal and see what calories I've burned. And the really interesting thing is that the calories I'm burning on the bike are a lot lower than I previously thought they were. Now, we've kind of been off the calorie counting thing on and off for the last couple of weeks. Been keeping meal sizes about the same and just kind of going on momentum. But we've kind of been off it over Easter. Easter's been a little bit of downtime. I've had a little bit of time off. So what's really interesting for me is the amount of calories that we've probably been consuming is going to be a bit higher than what we're used to. And the amount of calories that I've been burning in my workouts is actually going to be lower than I previously thought. So this is going to need a complete recalibration from sort of... we've got quite a lot of work to do over the next week on the house. So I'll say sort of from maybe Monday we'll crack on with the food tracking properly. Maybe even from tomorrow if we get round to it. But... yeah, that's a really interesting thing. So I'm working harder than I previously was. There's less calories going out than there's less calories actually going out than I previously thought there were. That's going to move the goalpost a little bit. There's been a couple of really interesting things that this has brought to light for me. One of them is my position on the bike. I've never put any thought into bike setup. I just basically set the seat as high as it'll go and then ride, because someone told me ages ago that's really good if you've got dodgy knees. That's the extent of my bike setup knowledge. So I've been looking into that because I'm getting sore hands when I'm riding, because I'm a bit too far over my handlebars. I'm not feeling any pain, but I'm feeling a little bit of pressure in my left my left knee and my left quad, which is an old injury that I've had knocking about for ages. But I haven't stressed my riding enough to give myself any issue with that recently. And these new sort of brutal workouts are getting me close to that. So I'm going to play around with the bike position, with the position of the cleats on my cycling shoes, changing how far over the pedal I am when I'm pedaling. I'm going to move the seat height around a little bit. I'm going to do a little bit of research and experimentation. I've bought some risers for the handlebars to make them a little bit higher. And I'm going to kind of like just put a little bit of time into trying to get my setup while it's on the trainer as comfy as possible. Because my end goal with the cycling thing is to do some bigger rides. I kind of have a couple of adventures in mind where I go off cycling for a couple of days, maybe later in the year, maybe next year. So that's kind of where I'm aiming for. I'm not a sprinter. But I like the idea of getting on the bike and doing sort of long rides. So I'm doing more intense kind of training leading up to that, and then more longer rides to sort of just get the time on the bike and in the saddle kind of thing. Hope that makes sense. And what else has happened? The triathlon, this year's triathlon that I was going to do has been cancelled and rescheduled to next year. So I hadn't really mentioned it very much, but I've done a couple of triathlons in the past, and I'd intended to do this year's triathlon, which was in May. It's the Rosendale Triathlon. And the first year that I did it, I came dead last. And my target that year was to finish, and I finished, but I was dead last. And then the second year that I did it, I came a few spaces off the bottom, and my intention was to not finish last. So finish it and not finish last. And my third goal was going to be this year. And I hadn't really mentioned much about it because I didn't think it was going to happen, and now it's been cancelled, so I was sort of proved right there. But that means I've got a year to train up for that. I've got over a year to train up for that. So I'm really looking forward to next May when that happens. That's going to be something to really work towards, and I'm going to absolutely obliterate my previous time and achievements on that. I'm really sure about that. I think I'm going to be much closer to my target weight, and with a year of decent cycling training behind me, I should be really sort of well suited to do well at that. So that's kind of where it's up to. The rest of the week is going to be training as usual. I'm aiming for this to be the first week when I've got 6 weights workouts in. I've done 3 so far. Squats on Monday, bench on Tuesday, deadlifts today. So I'm going to basically go around that cycle again from tomorrow. So squats tomorrow, and then squats, bench and deads again. Same idea. Have Sunday off and then see how we go. But that's the deal. Anyway, that's what we're up to. So thanks a million for joining me. I am, like I say, suitably knackered. I've been brutalised by my bike, but I'm really enjoying it. It's a new kind of set of challenges that have popped up because of this, and it's really good fun. And like I said before, I can't recommend the Wahoo Kicker Core Trainer highly enough. It's totally moved the goalposts on what I thought I was doing on the bike. And to put it in perspective as well, there's something else that I was going to mention, which is on the apps that I use on Strava, you can follow different cyclists. And one of the guys I follow is called Mark Beaumont, who I think has got the current circumnavigation of the globe on a bike record. Did it in under 80 days, which is just ridiculous. And my peak power output on my bike when I'm working as hard as I work is about the same as he puts out on his rest rides. So it's given me this really interesting, I am right at the bottom of the pecking order at this. I am right at the beginning of this cycling journey, even though I've cycled since I was a kid, and I've got a long way to go. but it's going to be fun. It's going to be cool. So that's me. Have a great rest of your week. I'll see you back here on Sunday. If you want to come and check out the live streams, we're going live tomorrow night, Thursday night, over on the Facebook page, facebook.com/John W. Doyle Music. Go and check that out. If you've not subscribed, subscribe. Things are going to appear here. Some other videos for you to watch here, and give it a little ring the bell and a thumbs up and all that jolly stuff. Have a great one, and I will see you on Sunday. Take it easy.